Every May, a voice was overheard through the hollow grounds of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, with a voice larger and deeper than life itself. But you may remember him for 3 iconic lines.
And he's on it. And down the long backstretch. And it's a new track record.
That voice was from the late Tom Carnegie, and you will be shocked to know he is originally not from Indiana. Born in Norwalk, Connecticut in September 1919, he grew up regularly listening to Ronald Reagan's radio messages. As I had previously interviewed Kevin Finch, who was also another iconic broadcaster in Indiana, for a class project in college, he brought this up and I thought it was really interesting. You have to remember that Ronald Reagan was one of the innovators and communicators that really made an impact on not just people like Carnegie, but for broadcasters such as him. Because after graduating from Eureka College in Illinois, Reagan became a sports broadcaster in Iowa, covering football and basketball. The Carnegie family would move to 3 different places, mainly Waterloo, Iowa, Pontiac, Michigan, but they settled in Raytown, Missouri. And his father, a Baptist minister, regularly moved through cities for work. Tom was a successful high school athlete, playing multiple sports such as football and basketball, and after contracting a polio-related virus before his senior year of high school, his life changed from being on the field to being high above the field. He would later take speech and debate training classes, which helped his voice propel for what his life would later turn out to become. And he was also so successful at doing speech and debate, he won competitions at the American Legion in his area. He would continue this career at William Jewell College near his hometown in Missouri, while also working a part-time job at KITE Radio in Kansas City, just a few miles away from where the great Rush Limbaugh would work in the state of Missouri. Tom would work in television and radio in Fort Wayne, Indiana after graduating from college in 1942. He was mainly famous in Indianapolis for being the Channel 6 WRTV news director for covering the 1964 and 1968 Olympic Games, while also covering the U.S. Auto Club Series, which led him to make the jump to become the public address announcer at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway from after the World War II period in 1946 to his retirement in 2006, in helping to revitalize the track for Memorial Day weekend. And first heard of Carnegie's voice in 1945 during World War II. When Carnegie was announced an antique car show in Indianapolis, Shaw urged Tony Holman, the owner of the track, to hire Carnegie as the lead public address announcer for the 500-mile auto race in May 1946. The first one was held after its temporary suspension during World War II, according to Wikipedia. At that time, Carnegie, who knew nothing about auto racing, had no advanced preparation for the event. All he had was a list of drivers and the numbers of their race cars. As with all the spectators, Carnegie could not see the entire 2.5-mile, 4.5-kilometer oval track. He later remarked that I had never seen such a crowd, let alone a 500-mile race, and it would take me 10 to 15 years to have any confidence that what I was saying was right. Carnegie remained as the Speedway's announcer for 6 decades, and his signature phrases as a driver would come down the Speedway's front stretch to take the green flag for pole day, and for even the race itself. Started the qualifying lap for pole day and bump day, and it was later reported that throughout the fastest laps, he would say, and I will never, ever forget this, and I could even do an impression of it. Listen to this one. Fans, you won't believe this. It's a new track record. He was so respected, he was even respected by the great NASCAR driver Tony Stewart, which he said,
you could take him to Daytona, you could take him to Sonoma, it doesn't matter. You take him and put him on a microphone at a racetrack, and if you know anything about racing, you know who that is on the other end of the microphone. He just got one of those voices that send chills down your spine.
Later in life, Carnegie acknowledged, "I'm on the PA to inform." But he also wanted to create excitement for the fans and considered his broadcast as, quote, speed theater. During his years as the Speedway's announcer, Carnegie witnessed and reported many changes, including the introduction to new technology and real-time electronic advancements to update race events that eventually decreased the fans' reliance on Carnegie's announcements, later impacting his career. He would not just be remembered as a successful public address announcer, though. He would become a broadcaster, a professor at Butler University, a public address announcer, retire as the news director at WRTV in 1975, become a filmmaker, producing films about the IndyCar series, and not just that, but its announcers, and most importantly, leave a mark on the world of auto racing during the Indy 500 weekend. Then, as Jim Nabors was diagnosed with cancer and died 6 years before he did, it seemed like, as I mentioned with Carnegie's announcements, that the enthusiasm of the track was never the same after that, and legends such as Mary Holman George, Tony Holman, and Jim Nabors were slowly passing off. Carnegie was the first man to pass away out of all these legends in 2011. Even today, I even know who he is. He left an indelible mark on not just broadcasting, but also in the public relation field, as I have also been a former public address announcer. He was one of the greatest voices to ever announce at Indianapolis, regardless of what anyone says. But forever and ever, I hear all the voices from Indy's past, and nobody could do it better than Tom Carnegie. May he rest in peace, and to his family, may his voice live on forever.